23rd Tenkaichi Budakai is the final arc of OG Dragon Ball's anime, a delineation not made in the manga. There are plenty of reasons thrown around for Toei to separate the anime, ranging from the change in overall direction of the story to Toei wanting to market it as a new show with all the marketing advantages that would provide them. And as we'd see, this arc does in many ways provide a thrilling finale to this stage of Goku's life.
Hot off a 3-year time skip, we're quickly reintroduced to our lovable cast, many of them sporting some fresh new designs. And though a taller, more adult Krillin is definitely a surprise, nothing quite beats seeing Goku now fully grown. And while for American audiences who started with Z, this would seem to be a return to form,
for Japanese audiences, this must have been wild. Over 165 chapters and 3 whole years of Kid Goku. And now, he's all grown up. It's a pretty monumental, even daring decision on the part of Toriyama, as it fundamentally affected Goku's iconic design. Then again, I'm a Naruto fan, so it's not like I haven't had the chance to experience something similar in real time.
By the way, if you want to, you can check out my Naruto review series over on my channel, Totally Not Mark.
Luckily, his design still cuts that distinct silhouette, and while he is aged up here, we see him back in that classic gi. And more importantly, his crucial innocent personality is intact, though he is markedly more mature in many ways.
Honestly, this may be my favorite version of Goku. It's a perfect combination of playful and experienced. After his training with God, he seemingly achieved a sense of serenity, a calm confidence that plays well into his cheerful nature. And each solution he pulls out over the course of the tournament is just so satisfying, because we've seen him grow into the fighter he is today. Though I'll never forget Toriyama for getting rid of Goku's tail for good in this arc.
But the bigger reveal of this saga is a full-grown Piccolo Jr. While we got small, adorable peeks at him in the arc prior, here he's fully matured and out for revenge for what Goku did to his father. The most noticeable change in his design is that he's significantly younger looking than King Piccolo was, thinner and more angular, and sports a brand new, now iconic outfit. We also find over the course of the tournament that he's more complex than his father ever was.
Speaking of the tournament, this is, in our opinion, the best Toriyama ever wrote. Though we don't begrudge his more gag-oriented matches from previous tournaments, here, it feels like there's very little fat. Each match contributes to the greater story, and it all starts with the first match.
We're introduced to Cyborg Tao in the preliminaries, where he conveniently removes Chaozu from the plot. And while it's certainly a surprise to see him back, and deadlier than ever, his inclusion in the tournament is solely to provide Ten Shinhan closure after the 22nd Tenkaichi Budakai. Which doesn't make this match bad, far from it. It's just maybe the weakest of the matches by virtue of it not contributing to the overall story of this arc. But immediately after this, we find Goku versus...
Name withheld! I mean, Chi-Chi. Honestly, it's hard to say whether or not Toriyama played the long game with this one, or if he just so happened to make the perfect pull at the perfect time. I'm not sure which would be more impressive, honestly, because having a character that we haven't seen for 3 years suddenly reappear organically, and with a monumental twist to the plot, either way you have to give this man kudos, especially with the subtle hints we're given to let us know that it's her. From her accent to her hair to the promise she mentions to Goku. And the reveal of Goku mistaking marriage for food? Peak Goku. It's a fun, monumental match that would forever change our protagonist's life and the very course of the series as a whole.
But screw romance, because the next match is one of my favorites, and it's arguably Krillin's best fight in the franchise. We know from the outset that Krillin isn't going to win this match. Hell, he knows it. As such, this fight isn't really about whether or not Krillin can win, but whether or not he can prove himself as a worthy opponent. Not just to Piccolo, but to the audience. Krillin's always played second fiddle to Goku, and despite his impressive outings before, he's struggled a lot. So we're essentially prepared here for a jobbing. But this plays out as anything but, with Krillin managing to straight up shock Piccolo with his strength, tenacity, and strategy. Though our brave bald boy takes the L, he proves to Piccolo that this fight won't be as easy as he thinks.
This acknowledgement on Piccolo's part is also an important indicator that he is not the same character as his father. He takes this revelation in stride and even shows a budding, begrudging respect, which all on its own makes him a more compelling character.
But no time to talk about that, because next is Yamcha versus Shen! Oh, Yamcha, you poor, poor bastard. First chance in the series of getting past the quarterfinals, and Toriyama throws you up against God. And while Yamcha whips out a brilliant new technique with an amazing direct hit, proving he's still definitely an outstanding fighter, he is still but a stepping stone for Kami to get to Piccolo. But this reveal is also fascinating, and a great wrinkle to the arc. God refuses to stay passive here like he did with King Piccolo, and he's even hijacked a person's body just to hide who he is to get closer to Junior.
Before those two can meet in the ring, we first need the biggest rematch in this series so far with Tian Shinhan versus Goku. Now this is a fantastic fight, but its main purpose here? To give us an idea of just how far Goku has come between King Piccolo and now. Oh, and also reintroduce the weighted clothing. Tian is outclassed here, and when he busts out the multiform technique, Goku just shows how wide their gap has become by instantly recognizing its weakness and defeating him effortlessly.
Leading to God meeting his nephew in the ring. And as it turns out, God's no slouch. He does everything he can to put down his evil half, even including the Mappa technique, which our Pickle lad learned how to reverse, putting God in a bottle and swallowing him down, keeping him safe in his tum-tum, leaving only Goku versus Piccolo Jr. And this match, well,
it's our number 2 fight in all of Dragon Ball.
It's our number 2 fight in all of Dragon Ball.
If you want to see a real breakdown of this fight, as well as many others that we've probably talked about previously, check out our DBCember list from 2018.
An interesting aspect about this fight is how many of its biggest beats would return in the next arc, but to different effect. Goku and Piccolo's beam struggle, Piccolo growing giant, Goku's legs being disabled. Which isn't to take away from either fight, the parallels are mostly fascinating. Make no mistake, this fight is very much its own beast.
It's a beautiful, remarkable fight, as creative as it is brutal, and the win on Goku's part is genuinely one of the most harrowing, desperate victories in all of Dragon Ball. But it's a victory all the same, and this finally sees Goku as the champion. It's the journey he's been on since he began training with Roshi, and through it all, his goal has been clear. Improve for the sake of self-improvement. Not money, not glory, not pride, but just to be better and protect those around him.
I also love how Goku just gives Piccolo a senzu bean, hoping that a bit of kindness and promise of a better fight would help him come around. And how he tells Kami, "No thanks, God, I don't want your job."
It's worth noting that this saga might have made our number 2, or even number 1, if it had been both grander in scale and hadn't relied on the tournament formula. Though it is arguably the best tournament in Dragon Ball, it's also Toriyama's 3rd go at it. And while it nails almost every single note, it's a song we've heard before. And it's one with built-in narrative limitations that keep us locked into a very narrowly focused story. But in that same vein, Toriyama works wonders within these limitations, and the story is one of the best paced and executed in Dragon Ball.
We got really granular in this review, partially because we wanted to emphasize just how little time is wasted in every fight, how incredible each encounter is, and just how phenomenal Toriyama nails this tournament. The last 2 Tenkaichi Budakai were fantastic in their own rights, but in many ways, they were all leading up to this, where Goku could show the fruits of his labor, beat the bad guy, save the world, get the girl, and soar off into the sunset.
This genuinely feels like the end of an era. Hell, the manga frames this finale as so monumental, Toriyama made sure to add a little Roshi at the bottom of the page to inform us that, don't worry, there's still more Dragon Ball to come. It's just so emotionally satisfying on every single level that, if it really had ended here, it would have felt right. Also, Manga Fushigi Adventure is the best Dragon Ball opening. I will not be taking any questions, thank you.